to CREED News Hour, where our cryptid and paranormal stories come directly from you, our viewers. Settle in as we take you to a personal account of the things that go bump in the night.
This family looks like a normal, happy family. What was going on inside the home was absolutely terrible and terrifying. This is Micheal Haight and his wife, Tasha. Together, the couple had 5 children. There was their oldest, Macy, they had Sienna, they also had Briley, and then their sons, Ammon and Gavin. In 2020, Micheal was being investigated for DV charges that were filed against him when his oldest daughter, Macy, started telling police what was going on inside the home. Micheal was being investigated for DV charges as early as 2020. Macy came forward to police and said that she felt unsafe with her father after he allegedly choked her. And I have to say allegedly because I don't think he was ever charged or convicted with anything. There were also incidents where he would take his children and shove their heads into the hard parts of the couch, and they would be driving down the highway and he would slam his brakes and it would leave red marks from the seatbelts on the family's bodies. He was awful. The family felt like they had to walk on eggshells around him all the time. And once again, in 2022, Micheal was being investigated for DV and for abuse on his children. But this time, Tasha had enough. She was done. She was terrified of Micheal and what he would possibly do to the family. So she asked CPS workers not to interview Micheal until she had filed for divorce, which she did December 21st of 2022. It seems as if Tasha asked Micheal to move out. This was all happening in Enoch, Utah, and I probably said that wrong, so correct me down in the comments, but Tasha asked Micheal to move out, and she would secretly record conversations with him, and she asked him to move out, and it seems like he refused to move out. There was also recordings of Micheal begging Tasha for a second chance after she filed for divorce, with him saying things like, "I know I have no reason to ask for a second chance, but I love you and I love my family." Well, if you loved your family so much, why did you make them feel afraid? Tasha did tell friends and family that Micheal had removed all of his weapons from the home, but on January 4th of 2023, Micheal entered the home, and there he took the lives of Tasha, all of his children, and his mother-in-law, Gail. Micheal then took his own life using that same weapon. When police entered the home, it was pretty evident what Micheal had done because he left a note that said that he would rather rot in hell than live with this manipulative woman for any longer and let her control his life. They also found these recordings that Tasha had taken, and the night before he did this, he promised his kids that he would take them all sledding. Police also looked at Micheal's search history, and they found that he was looking up if a GS could be mistaken for something else, if it was a one-time thing, or if people could easily mistake the sound of a GS. He was planning this. My heart goes out for these kids whose lives were taken so soon and so tragically, and Tasha and her mother, by a man who was just pure evil. And we keep seeing these family annihilators more and more as we go on. But let me know your thoughts on this.
People are calling this case the Incest House of Horrors. This case comes with just about the biggest trigger warning for the most horrific things you could hear. It was October 2023 in the quiet Polish village called Koniki. An arrest was about to happen which would shake the small community. The true horrors of what had been going on under everyone's noses were absolutely chilling. Piotr Girasik was 54 years old. He and his wife Hannah had had a staggering 12 children together. Hannah had passed away 15 years prior, leaving Piotr to look after the children on his own. Now, the house that he lived in was far from ideal for such a huge family. Locals were also often concerned about hearing cries and screaming from inside the home. They knew Peter had a close relationship with his 20-year-old daughter, Paulina, but they had no idea just how disturbing things were getting inside the home. That was until local workers at a cake shop nearby tipped off social services. They had serious concerns about what was going on in the property, and they were right to be worried. When officers arrived at the home, they could smell something absolutely potent. Upon closer inspection of the property, they found decomposing, dead babies in the basement. 2 of the tiny bodies were wrapped in plastic bags and one was just lying on the floor. Now, at the time of the discovery, Peter wasn't actually living in this house with all 12 of his children. Some had escaped. He was living in the house with his daughter Paulina and his disabled son Damien. It would later be revealed that sometimes Damien was seen sat outside the house crying. He told officers that his dad would have S with his sister, so the dad's daughter, and regularly chase Damien out the house and beat him when he wanted to do this. Damien was abused and was given little more than cold rice to live off. Horrifically, police discovered that the deceased babies in the basement were actually the product of incest. The 3 babies found in the cellar were believed to have been killed just after they were born. Frustratingly, Peter had actually been on the radar of police. He'd been investigated 5 times over allegations of incest. He was arrested finally by police, and his daughter Paulina was also arrested. Thankfully, many of Peter's children had managed to flee, and his one daughter Cassia referred to him as a monster. He's now facing charges of murder, incest, and R.